So in today's video, we are going to be going back. I remember last video we started working on our teleporting power up. I don't know if it's going to be a power up, but we're going to add in 2 points in one of the levels or multiple levels. And then what it's going to do is going to teleport you from, if you land on that level, if you go across it, it's going to teleport you from that point to the second point. So today's video, as you saw from the title, we are going to attempt to make a little animation to go with this. So when we go and move on to this teleporting point A, which is going to be the start point, we want it to kind of look like it's sucking the cube down, and then it's going to like pop it back out at point B. So we're going to attempt to do that today. I don't know how far we're going to get. Making the actual animation should be the easy part. Trying to get it to work is going to be the more difficult part. So let's jump into the game and start doing it, because it might take a while. So we have our cube here. If we go into our scene view, what we wanted to do, if we just press play quick, whenever we go, let's zoom out here. So where's our cube? So here's our cube. This needs to be set at 0. So what we want to do is when our cube eventually gets placed onto our teleporting platform, which is this one, we want this cube to look like it's moving down, but like really quickly, so it looks like it's been sucked into it. So the Y value is going to go from whatever it is, it's just going to minus 1. And then we're going to watch that animation, and then it's just going to do the opposite when it gets pushed all the way to platform B, which is this one. It's going to do the opposite. It's, instead of starting at 0, it's going to start at -1 where it would be, and then it's going to push it up very fast. So it's like that. So it looks like it's, I don't know, like pushing it out kind of, and then it's going to go back to the original position, which is 0. So in order to do this, I think I know how to do it, but I could be wrong. We'll see. We might have to make this into 2 videos. But let's start by going to our cube. So on here, let's reset this back to 0, because I believe that's where it starts. Okay, so that's fine. Our cube will always start, or we'll try and make our cube always start on y is equal to 0. Just so that we don't have to change this animation, but we'll see, maybe later on in the game we might have to change it. So let's start by making the animation. So I'm going to open up our animation tab here, which is over here. And when we select our cube, we have to create a new animation, and then we'll call this, do we have an animations folder? No, we don't. So we'll create a new animations folder. And then in here, we will create a animation that's going to be called, what are we going to call it? Teleport. We're going to have 2, one to go down and one to come back up. I don't know if you can use the same one just in reverse. I don't know if that's a thing, but we'll create 2 for now. So we'll call it teleport. Actually, let's do, let's just go cube up. Simple. So cube up. Actually, that needs to be cube down. Anyway, we'll use that for cube up. So we'll create another one. And then this one will also be the same thing, but it's going to be cube down. So this is what it's going to suck our cube down to. I think it's -1, I said. So we'll start recording. And then we want to move our timeline about just a little bit so that it looks quite fast. And then we'll change our Y value to -1. So if we go and stop recording that and we press play, you can see that our cube now gets sucked down kind of from 0 to -1. Because it's on a loop, we're just going to carry on doing it, but we're not going to do that. So we'll leave that like that. And then going to the cube up one, we're going to need to start at -1. That's correct. Start at -1, press record, go to there, and then press change this back to 0. Save that, stop recording, and then that should push it back up. Okay, so it kind of looks the same because it's looping, but later on when we implement it into our game, it should look correct. So that's the idea. So what we have to do now, I think, is go to our animator. So here we have two animations. We have cube down and cube up. So when we first press play on our game, we're going to see that our cube is going to be constantly animating. So it's going to go straight into this cube up. Because our animation is set to loop, I believe it's just going to go on and on and on. So you can see in our game window here, the cube is like bouncing, which is not really what we want. So let's create a new state, and this is going to be called, what can we call this? We can call this, we have an entry state, and we go to cube up. If we go from entry to, let's just call it normal state, we can make a transition to this and make this state our default layer. Or let's just go and undo that and then just make this a default layer, because then we don't have to, well, default state, because then we don't have to make the transition. So from our normal state, we can make a transition to cube down, because let's just swap those. And then, yeah, that's right, because we start off at 0, and then we want when we go and step on the platform, we want the cube to be sucked downwards, and then I don't know if we have to do it from cube down, make a transition to cube up. I believe we probably will have to do that. We'll start with the first part, and then maybe we'll do the second part in another video once I figure out how to do it. But there we have our a transition. So what we have to do now is we have to create a parameter, I believe, and this is going to be, we'll make it a, do we need to make it a Boolean or trigger? We'll start with Boolean. So this is going to be is, what can we call this? What should we call our, let's just call it teleporting. So we'll call it teleporting, and then when we go and make this transition, we want to add a condition for teleporting to be is equal to true, so that if our if we are teleporting, it means the cube needs to be sucked down. So we don't really want to have an exit time. We can untick that. We don't want to have a duration, and then I think that's fine. I can't remember how to do this. I haven't done this in a long time, but we'll figure it out on the way. So let's go to our project here, and in our animations, we should be able to, on our cube down, we should be able to get rid of our loop so that it only really happens once. So if we play our game, you should be able to see, okay, so that's working nicely. It's not animating, but it's also not moving our cube to where we want it to be. Okay, so we need to figure out what's happening there. But we can now go and, well, that's probably something we're going to have to figure out first, because we need to move our cube onto the correct platform for it to actually trigger our animation. So let's go and do this. In our teleport manager here, we have a script that we created that moves our cube when we go and step on that teleporting platform. So we first do a check to see if we are on that platform. And that check is if the cube's X position is equal to the point A, X, and if the cube Z is equal to the point A, Z. So if those two match, then that means we're on the platform and we need to go and move the cube. But before we go and move the cube, we want to play this animation. Okay, and then, so let's try and do that. First things first, we are going to need to import our, and not import, but have some sort of reference to our animation clip that we're going to play, which is the one we've just created. So let's go and say serialize field. We will make this a, or it will be a private. This will be animator, because we're going to need that. to access the play method, and then we'll call this animator as well. And then we will also have the same thing, but instead of an animator, it's going to be an animation clip. And this will be our down clip. Okay, so I'm just gonna no, we'll leave that like that for now. So let's go save that. And then if we go to our game, which is here, we should be able to drag these in to, why did that not save? So when we go from normal to cube down, okay, so there it is. That's weird. So when we go from normal to cube down, we want the teleporting to be equal to true. Okay, so that's fine. But now we need to go and drag in our animation clips and our animator. So let us go and do this. So I'm going to create an empty object here. And this is going to be our animator. The reason I'm doing that is because right now we're only creating our animation for our teleporting power up. Not power up. Why do I keep saying power up? Just our teleporting. But we'll add that onto there. In future, probably the majority of our animations, our power-ups will include their own animations, and we'll add some other different animations for other different things in the game later on. So we could probably just use this one animator. So I'll just put it at the top, and then we can just drag and drop it in to wherever we need it. So on our cube, our teleporting, what's it called? Our teleporting manager, I believe it's called. I believe is in, it should be attached to our level. Yeah, because they're all, that's going to be a problem in the future, but we'll get it working for now, and then we can easily move it later on. So let's go to our prefabs, and then we will go to level 1. So here we have, yeah, there we have it. Our animator and our down clip. So we won't be able to use our animator here because of the way we've done this. So let's get rid of this and just say it private. We will have to go and search for it once the level has been instantiated into the scene. So let's go onto here and drag in our down animation. So drag that in there. And now we need to go and look for our animation. So once we've got our cube, we can go and look for the animator. So let's say animator is going to be equal to game object dot find. We'll do the exact same thing. Find object with tag, and we'll add a tag onto it. So global dot animator tag. So let's go and create that. What am I doing? What am I doing? So this is going to be animator tag, and then this will just be the same thing, but without the tag. So just animator. Okay, so let's go and attach that. Why do I keep, this is why I hate the script being on the left. So back to our game, we need to attach a tag onto this, so we don't have to make one, and this will be called animator. So that's fine. All right, so we're getting somewhere. So what's this error? Teleporting manager. I'm going to put this over here just so that we can see it. So cannot implicitly convert type game object to union. Okay, so that's going to be a problem. Can we just go, nope. Let's go and look it up. How do we find a, what's called a animator? How do I find the animator in Unity? That's not what I want. I want to know how to... You know what we'll have to do? Let's just do this for now. Instead of having this separate, we'll delete that. And then let's just get it working first. So we will go to our project prefabs, level 1. On level 1, we can go and add in an animator. Because that way we can bring back our serialized field, and then we can get rid of this. And instead of finding it, we can just go and save it first. And then we can go and drag and drop it in. So we should just be able to drag this in there. Okay, so that should be fine, I think. So I'm just going to play. I know nothing's going to happen, but I'm just going to go and play the game quick and see if we get any errors. So this should still be stuck in a normal state, which is good. If we play the game, we still won't be able to move our cube, which I don't really know why. I don't really know why the animation would affect the movement of the cube. But anyway, let's go and try and get it to work. So when we go and step, this is in this if statement means if we reach this line of code, it means that we are on point A of our teleporting platforms. So before we go and move our cube, we want to play that animation. So to do that, we first need to make sure what's it called? We need to make sure teleporting is equal to true. Is it a Boolean? I think it is, yeah. So let's go and say, where's Google? I have forgotten how to do this. So let's go to Google quick and say, change parameter in script. Start animator.set boolean. Okay, so that's how you do it. So here we need to go and say animator.set boolean, and then I believe it needs to be the same as the actual name of the boolean, which is, what is it? Teleporting. And then we'll set that to be equal to true. And then we will also go and say animator dot play down clip dot toString. So let's see what this does. I don't think this is going to work, but we have to start somewhere. So we'll see what kind of errors it brings up, and then we will. Okay, so because we can't really move our cube, we don't really have any way of testing this at the moment, which is quite annoying. So you can see that if we press our arrow keys, our move count is still going up, but we're not really moving our cube, which is quite annoying. So I'm just going to tick that, and I'm going to tick this. So you can see that it kind of, our animation did work. But we have some debugging to do. So there's going to be a few problems here. The first problem is that when we go and set teleporting is equal to true, we need to instantly set it to equal to false as soon as we've reached the next position, so that we can do it all over again. So if we go and step on the platform again, we still need to be able to play the animation for a second time. So we'll have to go and figure out how to do that. But I think I'm going to go do some research into that just so that I don't have to waste your guys' time. So I'll go and figure out how to get the cube to move again, because I don't know why it's not moving at the moment. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today's episode. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope you're enjoying this game series. So I know it's a bit slow, but I'm trying to think of new ways to make the game a lot more fun. But if you haven't already checked out my island survival game, I'll put a link, or I'll link it over here somewhere, or somewhere on the screen. Just look out for that. Go have a look at that and see if you want to follow along with that series. But that's it for today, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. So goodbye.